Like to call this meeting to order at 6:30.
Yeah.
Have a pledge of allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order, would you do the attendance roll, please?
Representative Barney. Representative Trotter.
Here.
Representative Terry.
Present.
Representative St. Clair.
Here.
Representative Smart.
Here.
Representative Plojay.
Present.
Clerk is here. Representative Nagel.
Here.
Representative McCarter.
Here.
Representative Hewitt.
Here.
Representative Harvey Bolia.
Here.
Representative Dumas.
Yes.
Representative Compa.
Here.
Representative Coker.
Here.
Representative Boards.
Here.
Representative Bogert.
Here.
Representative Bowden.
Here.
And Mr. Chairman.
Here.
Yeah.
Representative Terry, you have a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I move the adoption of the proposed agenda, the one that was actually sent out to all the delegation members in the packet. My understanding is that there's a hard copy that was available tonight for people who walked in. The third item from the bottom is other business. So the amendment that I'm going to move for adoption does not include the item other business, but the original proposed agenda and not the revised proposed. We have agreed on that, Mr. Chairman.
Without objection.
We need a second.
Second.
So
Yeah, everyone seconded.
everybody seconded. Is there any opposition? So carried. Want the approval of the minutes from May 29/23.
Minutes.
Remove the minutes.
Second.
Have a second. All in favor?
I'm looking
Yeah,
at being
yeah.
absent, but I was there.
I didn't hear what you
The
said.
minutes say I was absent, I was actually there.
Okay.
You wasn't in late. I might have marked you as coming in late.
up for this.
So the minutes are approved. Next on the agenda is the Gunstock Commission update with Commissioner Lambert.
Yeah.
Good evening, members of the delegation. Also joining me tonight will be the Vice Chair of the Commission, Jade Woods. And I also would just like to point out that the President and General Manager is here with us. There are several members of the management team. Fellow Commissioner Heidi Price is here, and Commissioner Stewart is also present in the room. We're here today to present what we hope to be an annual State of the Mountain report. The Gunstock Recreational Area is one of the premier amenities with which we are blessed here in Belknap County. And I would like to speak just briefly and characterize it as basically a three-legged stool. There was an interesting article that appeared in the Daily Sun Saturday, and the author spoke rather highly of our mountain. And he wrote, "With winter comes an influx of tourists drawn to the state's reputation for offering some of the most thrilling and picturesque winter sports in the Northeast. In the heart of the lakes region sits one of our more prominent winter destinations, Gunstock Mountain Resort, where a bustling schedule of improvements totaling $6 million is poised to enhance the visitor experience for the 23-24 ski and snowboard season." He further writes, "The economic activity generated by the winter season is a critical component of the region's overall financial health. The revenue generated from tourism, particularly in the robust winter months, supports local businesses, contributes to tax revenues, and sustains jobs in the hospitality and service sectors. So again, that's leg one of the three-legged stool, the anchor of our local economy. The second leg is it provides four-season recreational opportunities for residents and visitors. Our children benefit from the outreach program in being able to participate in a local activity that could only wish was available. We all know that kids need positive activities away from their screens. And if you spend any time up at that mountain, whether it be the summer or the winter, there's plenty of young people up there really enjoying and getting the benefit of this wonderful attraction. I'm up there a lot on Wednesday nights, and there's outreach programs, and there's nothing like sitting on the chairlift and hearing kids singing, laughing. The place is just loaded with them, and we're truly blessed to have this. The third leg of the stool is it is a direct benefit to Belknap County. It actually deposits money into the treasury rather than like most of the county operations that take it out. This year, that amounted to a check for the amount of some $352,000. Per statute, that equals 1.75% of gross receipts. You have hopefully all received copies of this year's financial audit, which I trust got sent out in the email. I checked with some of you and you should have received it. I just want to read from the beginning section, summary of financial results and payment to Belknap County. Department gross income was up 1.8 million from last year. The winter season was up 1.83 million from last year. Our net position was up $4.29 million from last year. Cash and equivalents were up 2.9 million from last year. And once again, for the third consecutive year, management did not request from this body, a RAM, the Revenue Anticipation Note, which I'm sure most of you know throughout history was a pretty regular event. And for the commission and for the management, this is a very big deal. This means we are completely self-sustaining and self-sufficient. Capital expenditures for this year are some $6 million. Okay, of that amount, certainly the parking lot money came from the county, from the federal government in the form of the opera fund. So that left some roughly just under $5 million of capital asset improvement that we funded through our own means with our own revenue, basically putting the money that Gunstock is earning back into the mountain. So basically the things that we've done this year, we can kind of quickly scroll through some of it.
Tell me that one.
Oh, okay. So a lot of what we've done is infrastructure improvement that like for example, so it was infrastructure and as well as customer experience and improvement. So a big part of the plan in the what we did this year was this ski boot rental building. So basically, if you go there and go behind the main section, you'll see this building that says rental. So it's all brand new. And what this will do is we have a lot of beginner people. We have the outreach program for students, and a lot of those people will rent the equipment. If you go to Gunstock and you spend an hour and a half getting your boots and getting all that, you might not have a pleasant experience and you may not want to return. So The whole point is to provide the experience for, especially learners. So that will greatly add to the flow, as well as getting other people through with their tickets and out on the mountain skiing. Out on the summit, we finished the septic system, so there is now, with the well that got put in last year, there is running water up there in a fully functioning septic system. So no more latrines up there. They're now regular, full operational bathrooms. You can see here, so this was kind of an interesting project that took place through the summer. It was very exciting. And the end result, is there a picture?
Yeah, keep going.
Okay, so this is just kind of, so a snowy picture. So the other thing that we did up there is we extended the backside of the panorama pub. This will allow, there's actually a bathroom in there for the employees. Just a kitchen. Okay. So there's more kitchen, and it's actually, gonna improve some of the offerings for the skiers up there. Not sure what I'm looking at. Oh, okay, so up until this year, they had to like haul septic down the mountain, so very labor intensive. So the other thing that was big this year is we built a new maintenance and service facility for the groomers. This is the foundation up there. This was $1 million project that also features a very high-end lift, so that the groomers can be worked on easily and safely. If you don't have well-groomed trails, you're not going to have happy customers. And Gunstock has a very good reputation of well-groomed and well-maintained trails. Again, this is the kind of thing, this will be around for decades. It's some very well thought out, very needed infrastructure that will just carry us forward for many years to come.
One interesting thing that anybody that watches those cats or is mechanical at all, there's gonna be a lift in here that we can lift the snow cats up with. Because right now they have to crawl around underneath them in a creeper, which doesn't work very well when you have tracks on each side of them. So being able to get that track, that cat up in the air, cuts off a ton of maintenance time that we spend with those cats inside if they're down.
And one of the other things that something like this does, so everybody knows in this day and age, employee retention, hiring people is a challenge. And when you have a good facility and good equipment that is safe and state of the art, it will tend to make people really want to come and be part of our team. Of course, the parking lot, which has several years in the making now, it's going to be, again, another game changer. No more giant crevasses and craters as you drive in and out, especially at the back part of the season. The lighting, which can you back up one? Yeah, so you can see all the poles in there. There's going to be lighting in the parking lot. I don't know how many of you have been up there for night skiing, which is fabulous, by the way, to get out there, but it was a little dicey out in that parking lot at night. So this again improves the safety of our customers as well as employees and everybody out there in the lot.
And we thank the delegation for voting, for being able to fund that project.
And again, that's something that it's going to be around for many, many years to come. Part of that project also includes some electric vehicle charging stations. That seems to be a feature that you're beginning to see at more and more ski mountains. Obviously, running a ski operation is extremely energy, we use a lot of energy. So anything that we can do to kind of scale that back or to put forth, you know, the notion that we're at least trying to do our part to conserve, so that plays a role. Again, this is the rental building. This was a huge project. If you've been up there in the summer, this certainly was challenging with all the rain, etc. So the few other of the CapEx projects, the Stockade Lodge, it has been fully renovated, and that there will go towards our other mission, which is to kind of bring in revenue to help offset potential loss, etc., and hits from an off season. We're running short on time, right?
Yeah, we're supposed to start the interviews.
So I'd just like to ask Commissioner Wood, she's just got a couple of.
Yeah,
words to
this will
add.
only take a few minutes. I just wanted to offer some of the modifications that we have made as a commission this past year. So obviously, these CapEx projects are tangible, visible, and all improve revenues, but we thought it was really important to create policy. We created a policy that's available for viewing on our website. And this really addresses things that are outside of the purview of the statute, the enabling statute, as well as our bylaws. So things like fiscal oversight, such as reviewing the check register every single month. And in addition, things such as employee interactions with commissioners, all the way down to language about onboarding for new commissioners, which, you know, is unprecedented. So that was a really positive step, and we did react and create that basically to try to steer clear, and we thought it was a positive step for the future in avoiding some of the situations of the recent past. And then I'll just touch briefly on our new, we're newly accessible on LRPA, Lakes Region Public Access. So we took that measure in order for people who want to participate in the meetings but can't get there, including you. And we thought this was a great step to inform the community of updates and changes and events, as well as, you know, just keeping you abreast of the things that are going on during our meetings. And so if you wish to hear the stark contrast between Doug's accent and my accent anytime, just go ahead and watch those over and over. And lastly, I just wanted to not speak on behalf of the other commissioners, but to commend you on the difficult task that you're about to undertake. We will wholeheartedly welcome our new commissioner after this evening. We look forward to onboarding them, and we just have the utmost confidence that you will select the appropriate candidate that will demonstrate qualities that are consistent with values that show that they want to develop gun stock in a measured way and also promote gun stock. And so with that, it's with great pride that we're able to update you on these wonderful things that are happening in Belknap County at Gunstock Mountain Resort. So happy Thanksgiving, and God bless you and your families.
Oh,
Thank you.
opening day as of right now is December 8th. So mark your calendars and wax your skis.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Make a motion.
Terry, real quick, Representative Terry. Do we, to move the interview back 15 minutes to allow public comment, do we have to make a motion since the times are on the agenda?
Yeah, I had that conversation with
I just want to make sure.
So we're gonna, he's gonna.
Can I make that motion now then to move back
We're
the
gonna
meeting,
move
the
all four of them
all
back.
back 15 minutes so we can allow public comment first? Hold on a second, if that's working. Thank you.
just so that everybody understands, instead of 6:45 to 7, it's 7 to 7:15.
Correct.
7:15 to 7:30, 7:30 to 7:45, 7:45 to 11:30.
11:30.
That was to see if anybody was paying attention.
Thank you.
That was to see if anybody was. Yeah, that's what, so yes, I'll second.
Uh,
I just have a quick question on the interviews. Are they allowed to sit in and watch the other interviews if they're not being interviewed at this time? And are they allowed to actually watch it via? I mean, because usually in the past, we've had them all here at the same time, so that not one could have an advantage over the other in seeing the private.
And having the rest of them in the other room.
I think they
That,
all
that
are
was
here
my
currently,
intent,
right?
if that wasn't,
Yeah, they're all here currently.
objected to.
Right, so they'll have
So they
to,
have to.
When the first interview starts, the other three will go into the other room. And they will be on the honor system to not zoom in
right,
or
I was just asking.
Facebook. So
Thank you.
all in favor of the motion to move everything back so that the first interview starts at 7? Say aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. So we're gonna go with public input. In terms of time, I want to limit the input to 2 minutes per person. I'd like you to come up and give your name and the town that you live in. So if there's anybody there that would like to have anything else to say, public input.
We moved the time for this, come on. I'll just have to recess for.
Yeah, recess first.
So if there's no public input, last chance. We're going to recess until 7 o'clock, which time candidate Joseph Cawley will come up here. The way that this is gonna work is when we vote, you have to get the majority. There's 18 of us here tonight, 17. So you'll have to get 9 votes. So if nobody gets 9 votes on the first round, the low vote getter is excluded, and we vote again with the other 3, and so on and so forth until we get down to somebody gets 9 votes. Just so that everybody knows that. So when we come back, Joseph Cawley would come in here, and the other 3 across the hall, I think it's room 113. And we'll call you when your turn comes up.
And the other point, Mr. Chairman, as we discussed, and clarified as per the past experience, 15 minutes for each candidate. You get 15 minutes to speak and receive questions. So if you want to talk for 5 minutes, you can take questions for 10 minutes. If you talk for 13 minutes, you only get 2 minutes of questions. If you talk for 15 minutes, there'll be no questions.
Your 15 minutes is your decision.
Right.
What it amounts to.
Thank you.
So you make that, you get 6 or 7 minutes to think about that. Reconvene for 7 years. Gonna reconvene at 7 o'clock. So, candidate Colley, you're gonna have, like we said, you got 15 minutes. You can talk for 5 and questions for 10, or whichever way you want to do it.
Here.
You're gonna keep the time.
I will.
I got it.
Oh, good. Oh, let the vice chair.
I got it.
Go ahead.
Well, it certainly sounds like the right play would be to talk for 15 minutes, so I don't have any questions, but I don't think that I've got 15 minutes of things to say. But I'll introduce myself. I'm Joe Colley. I'm a Belmont resident, employee at Meredith Village Savings Bank, working business development officer. Been a Lake Region resident since mid-90s, moved to Laconia in October of 1995, so it's been about 28 years. From 1995 until 2010, I was involved locally full-time in broadcasting, WLNH and WEMJ, WASR over in Wolfboro, WZID down in Manchester, where I still do some part-time work. During that time, I was involved by way of being a broadcaster in a lot of community efforts like Kiwanis. I was club president for a couple of years, board of directors for Lake Street United Way for a couple of years. But also during that time, there were a lot of events that the radio stations that I was with and involved with that took place at Gunstock, and that, having not grown up around here, but moving up here, being introduced to the mountain and its importance to the region through some of the events and promotions and stuff that we covered at the radio station and attended, whether it was Taste of the Lakes region or our United Way annual meetings. Were in the lodge for a couple of years. I have a large family. My wife and I have 6 kids. You heard me right. I tell everybody we're the Lakes Region Brady Bunch. So we obviously, from a family standpoint, understand the importance of Gunstock as far as a recreational and economic, cog in the wheel that is the Lakes Region goes. After I get out of broadcasting full time, I ended up working as a car salesman at the Irwin Automotive Group for 10 years. Some of you I've seen there, and some of you have sold cars too. That, unfortunately, though I liked it, did kind of take me out of the community a bit because it was a very demanding and off-hours schedule. So the opportunity to volunteer and be involved was not as readily easy to do as it was when I was, in broadcasting. The new position that I've taken at NVSB has given me the freedom and encouragement to do that again since I started there about 6 months ago. I've been looking for ways to get back into the community from a volunteer and support standpoint. Obviously, this is not a nonprofit, but having done nonprofit work before, I understand what it means to be a volunteer. And looking around for areas which I feel I could make a contribution, I wanted that to be something that is important. And obviously, as Commissioner Lambert illustrated so eloquently a few minutes ago, Gunstock certainly is important to the region. I would consider myself in these roles more of a worker bee, someone who does work in between meetings so that the people who are involved in the organization from a volunteer standpoint, like you folks, don't have to worry about operations and stuff in between gatherings. I don't bring a lot of preconceived ideas or changes to the table. I'm not looking to upset the apple cart or build an airport and a mega hotel out there. But as I said, I bring an understanding of what it means to the area and a desire to help preserve that. My most recent Gunstock experience, I'm doing the current class of leadership Lakes Region when we had our orientation at Gunstock back in October, about 6 weeks ago. Beautiful day. It was 85 degrees, which we wouldn't expect when we scheduled it in October, but it was just a gorgeous day and beautiful setting. We were presented the opportunity to participate in some of the recreational opportunities there. I unfortunately exceed the weight limit for the zip line, so so I didn't do that. But because of that, I was fortunate enough to see a presentation on Gunstock's history that Greg Goddard put forward to the members of the Leadership Lakes Region class. PowerPoint about how it started in the 30s as a WPA project and right up through the 40s and 50s to many 2 days and stuff like that. So that was, really interesting. And a lot of that stuff I'd known from having covered it when I was in radio news, but some of it was good to get a refresher on. And some of it I didn't know, so it was good to be brought up to speed on that. But it really did sort of deepen my affection for Gunstock. I am not a skier. I know you might hold that against me. I am a tuber. That's more of my downhill experience. Last year, my wife and I got married, but the previous year, I actually proposed at Gunstock with those 6 kids, 3 of which are in college. We have a lot of moving parts. It's hard to get us all in the same place together very often. So the kids and I planned a tubing night and surprised my then fiance or then girlfriend who became my fiance. And I proposed at Gunstock just for the sole purpose that now I can tell the story that I proposed to my wife while tubing. And after I proposed, it was all downhill from there. It literally was. So from that standpoint, we'll always have a Gunstock now. As far as strengths, obviously the broadcast background, community connection background, I would say strengths would include some marketing and advertising background, public relations, certainly to a certain extent. That's basically the spiel. That was not 15 minutes, was it? It means you probably have some questions. Or at least I left you some time for questions.
Representative Nagel.
Thank you. I'm curious, there's a million volunteer opportunities. Why Gunstock, and what do you bring to the table that you think may be missing right now?
Well, again, the opportunity was the importance of the mountain to the region. You're right, there are a million of volunteer opportunities out there, and they're all, very important, all worthy causes, all, within their own sphere, worth supporting. Do all of them have the impact on the Lakes region that Gunstock has? I would say probably not. And that is, what made it attractive.
Yeah, what do you bring that you think may be missing right now?
Well, as I said, I don't know that I don't bring any political agenda or preconceived ideas to the table other than a desire to preserve what is important to the Lakes region and to contribute and help, where any way I can.
Any other questions? Representative Contois.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for being here and taking our questions. Just to follow up on what Representative Nagel was saying, with your background in broadcasting and promotion, do you think that you could use that skill set to help promote and be a voice, just another person that could throw out ideas to the current board to make Gunstock more successful?
Yes, absolutely. One thing that immediately jumps to mind is I heard a lot of talk, and a lot of it was quoting the article that was written over the weekend in the Daily Sun. But it is, there's a lot of focus on the winter and the activities that take place in the winter. And while that is a no-brainer, obviously true, there are the other amenities that are at the mountain that make it a year-round resort. And, maybe a little bit more promotion or focus on that stuff can, make it even more attractive during the rest of the year.
Representative.
If you don't mind, if you had one idea to help do that, what would it be? Don't mean to put you on the spot, but.
I'll take the rest of my 15 minutes to think about that. Really just more promotion of that stuff. I mean, everybody knows it's a ski area. Do many people know? And when I look at it, as someone who's not a skier, obviously I've been there 100 times, probably more than 100 times, having never skied, but there are the other things. There's, you know, the opportunity for the hiking and the Bronco Park and the, you know, I brought my kids up on chairlift, you know, chairlift rides and such like that. Is there a lot of awareness outside of the ski population that stuff goes on even when there's not snow on the ground? Maybe not, so.
Thank you.
Representative Terry.
Thanks. I have a what if, what would type of a question and a quick follow after your response to the initial question, which is a little broader. Past budgets of the Gunstock Commission have included a donations line item. Would you believe as a commissioner that it would be important for the commissioners to deliberate, discuss, and determine what those donations are going to be and have it be subject to a public vote?
Boy, that is a big question. Donations made, I assume, by the public? Is that what you're?
No, by Gunstock. Out of Gunstock funds.
Oh, donations by Gunstock.
Apparently you're not aware of that past practice. Have you thought, if there's a line item in the budget that says donations, would you expect to be part of a process where you would be aware of what those donations might be, have input, and actually determine what they're going to be by your vote?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And would you believe that it would be appropriate or inappropriate for any donations to be made to a public official or to a candidate for public office?
Can you repeat that question? Just kind of.
Would you consider it appropriate or inappropriate that any donation by Gunstock be made to a public official or a candidate?
I would say that would not be appropriate. I would say that our donations made, whether it's use of the mountain, use of the facility, would be only made for broader good for the community and its members.
Yeah, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Representative Sinclair.
I'm sorry, I should have turned and looked at you, Mr. Chair. I just,
No problem.
thank you. I just want to comment that I'm glad you mentioned the off-season, I guess we could call it, summer, fall, and spring, because I agree with you that there's probably a lot more that could be done there. And maybe I miss it, but I know growing up here, as much as I was skiing up there, I was just as excited to go camping up there, go fishing up there, and do whatever else was going on. So if you do get put on the commission, I look forward to you pushing that agenda along. Not that it's not being done now, but the more that happens, because I think it's just a jewel 12 months of the year up there. And I like seeing that. So thank you.
In between the radio gig and the car sales gig for about a year and a half, I was the executive director at the Waterville Valley Region Chamber of Commerce. And when I say it that way, it sounds much more maybe mountain related than it is, but it's not. The name was Waterville Valley Region, so it encompassed Campton, Thornton, Waterville Valley, but they did have their own sort of recreation association up there at the town of Plymouth. And I went up there when I took that job under the assumption that it was going to be very busy in the winter because the name Waterville Valley was in the title. And I found out very quickly that it was more so in the summer and the fall with foliage, with hiking, the recreational opportunities that were in the hiking systems and trails in the White Mountain. And of course, obviously, we're a little bit further south of that, but yeah, we are in a 4-season resort area.
We've got 1 minute left. Does anybody else, do you want to add anything to presentation for a minute.
I appreciate you taking the opportunity to listen.
Thank you. So you're gonna be, you can stay.
Okay. You don't have to go to room 130 or whatever you said.
No, as they make their presentation, they can stay.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you.
Representative Bogart? Representative Bogart,
Yes,
would you get candidate Zach, please?
yeah.
It's serious. It's serious.
Sit here.
Yes, please. So candidate Zach, we get 15 minutes,
Yes, sir.
use in the speech or
We could sing, we could dance.
Yeah, okay.
more or less.
Well, I've designed my presentation to be 3 minutes long, so you can ask as many questions as you like. So good evening, everyone. My name is Rick Sack. I'm still very interested in an appointment as a Gunstock Area Commissioner. My background as a board member and commissioner is unique in that I've been on 7 organizations boards to find a common ground to succeed in a collegial and respectful way. I've started 4 successful businesses. One was a wireless network, which was sold to Nextel, which later became part of T-Mobile's Boston operation. It required a vision to see opportunities before the concept was well known. And that's really part of the job of a board member, to look at new opportunities and present to management. I offer firsthand experience from working inside the ski area that might be unique. I think it is. And I'm now fully retired, and this is the right time to get back to the community. Gunstock has been a passion in my family for over 20 years. In fact, Gunstock was a major reason for me to buy property in Guilford, and most of that was as a full-time resident. My 3 kids took ski lessons here, and in the past, my son worked at Gunstock. My post-retirement job was at Gunstock, and it provided me with face-to-face interaction with all departments and all managers. And I really enjoyed it. This gave me a unique exposure as to the culture, the charm of the resort, and how Gunstock works with the commission. So, what is my vision? It's primarily to focus and build on our strengths. Part of Gunstock's magic sauce is not to become like Vail. Gunstock provides a close community-oriented experience, not given to aggressive commercial development. And I did this before Jade talked about what she's looking for, so I'm not saying this to mold to what the commissioners are already thinking. The expectation of shorter winters have placed snowmaking at any resort as a make or break operation. No snow on the trails means no skiing, same with lifts. Allocating a robust maintenance resources are absolutely critical, and new snowmaking technologies improve production efficiency and reduce the significant electricity costs. Many of the guns have been replaced because of that. I remember that in 2003, my son and I saw the new Panorama high-speed quad. We were invited to a season ticket holder event. And Gunstock's only summit lift is now 20 years old. Trail expansion will spread out some of that load, but any sort of limited expansion needs to be carefully thought out. We need to balance the shorter snow production seasons really, against the return on investment and guest experience. That's a tough one to balance. But as technology advances, retaining experienced, well-trained staff and infrastructure maintenance are key to Gunstock's continuing success. There's a lot of institutional knowledge that the staff has that if they switch jobs, that knowledge is gone. In terms of expanding offerings, downhill mountain biking might be worth as a serious consideration. My dad worked at Mount Snow, and they had a very successful operation there. In addition, the campground has always had a multi-year backlog of seasonal campsites. In addition, Pat's Peak, in previous years, they don't do it now, but in previous years, they had an annual snowmobile hill climb the week after they closed, or the weekend after they closed. It never required lift operations. So it was kind of a bonus event for both the community and for Pat's Peak. It was very successful. So how do we leverage those ideas? So in closing, what I offer is unique. I offer a long track record of collegially and respectfully working with 7 boards of directors. As a serial entrepreneur, I came with a vision for untapped opportunity, in which I started 4 successful businesses. And I bring knowledge of the ski industry from the inside. I welcome the opportunity to give back to Gunstock, a place that has already given me so much. So thank you. A few questions.
Representative Nagel.
I'm really intrigued by your idea of the mountain biking thing. How would you make that happen?
Well, my son kind of planted the idea in my head. He goes mountain biking at Highland Park on Bean Hill in Northfield. And from what I understand, Highland Park looks favorably, from what I've heard, of Gunstock developing that as a possible business model. They think it'll complement, not supplement, their income. So, it would require, lifts to be operational to take bikes up. At Mount Snow, they put these special brackets on the chairs, away they go. I don't have enough information to strongly advocate for it, but I think it's certainly worth looking into. It could modify the trail system because the bikes, like to go like this. But we have the Bronco, concession there anyway. So that's gonna, affect the trails. So I don't know, there's many questions I have, but I think it's worthy of discussing it.
Thanks.
Representative Comtois.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for being here and taking my question. You mentioned about expansion, and I'm wondering what you see over the next decade on what should be focused on.
Well, I think it's worthy to ask questions about the future. I'm not really. I think the magic sauce that Gunstock has is its community orientation. I think building condos and building hotels isn't really what Gunstock is now, and the question is, do we really need it? I don't know. I'm kind of hesitant on it. I wasn't part of that planning process, obviously. But I think what deserves attention is, as far as expansion, is probably some more lifts to spread out the load. If we lose the main lift for whatever reason, the electronics in that lift are 20 years old. Do you have anything 20 years old that runs on electricity anymore, other than an iron? You might. But yeah, it's showing its age. Fiber optics going up to the hill, which I was a little bit involved with. Their schedule, I hope their schedule can be replaced. Again, this is more of a question than statements, but it needs attention. So, take what we have, make sure it's really well maintained, and possibly add some additional trails. I'm not so sure about adding trails on the west side because we don't own it. It's owned by somebody else. It requires infrastructure to be over there, electricity. That's pretty snowmaking. It's pretty complicated. So, although it sounds like a good idea, I have more questions than anything on developing the west side. But to the right and the left, as you look at the mountain, maybe.
Representative.
Thank you. So when you're talking about expansion and things like that, you're focusing mostly on the winter side of things?
No. Well, certainly the mountain biking is this summer. Because that would involve some modification to the mountain, probably just to, adapt to the needs of the bicyclists, that they like these really sharp turns. The other part would be the campground, which there's, a multi-year backlog of people who want seasonal campsites. maybe putting in the infrastructure to support that is gonna be cost prohibitive. I don't know. But I do know that there's a multi-year backlog. Okay, why? Why is it not being addressed? Maybe there's good reasons it's not being addressed. I don't know, but it should be, discussed, I think.
Representative Terry.
Thank you. In view of the fact that you've been involved with 7 boards of directors, I don't want to make you nervous here. But I think this is probably going to be a layup for you. Past budgets of Gunstock have included a donations line item. If you were to be elected as a Gunstock commissioner, would you expect to be part of a process that determines who would be the beneficiaries of any donations that is made by Gunstock, and that you would vote on that publicly?
Well, the quick answer is yes, but it might be moot because I think Jade had some new policies he was talking about, and I'm hoping that was already included in the Gunstock policies.
Well, if in fact that is a policy, that's great. If such a policy were to ever come back, your answer is yes. You would expect to be a part of that process.
Oh, yeah.
And you would not believe, or you would believe that as a commissioner of a public body, that it would be inappropriate to make a donation to an elected public official or someone running for office, or a group promoting or in support of such a person.
I would say definitely.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
That's not a yes, that's a definitely.
Yeah, thanks. Good.
Representative Coker.
So I remember last time that you ran for this, you mentioned some IT upgrades or thoughts you might have. Anything, because I know that's kind of part of your background. Do you still have those thoughts, or?
Well, I haven't worked there in 2.5 years, pretty close to 3 years. So I'm assuming that the upgrades are just a part of the process. When you have your computer or laptop, it's only good for a certain amount of years. So the answer is I really haven't had that much contact with what their plans have been after 2.5 years. So it certainly has to be part of the ongoing process. I know when I was there, we lost the concession for food service. That was Center Plate. We had no food service operation because it was contracted out. So with a 45-day window, we had to create a whole new service department from scratch that include liquor licenses, health permits, all that kind of thing. And then from my side, we had to put in a whole new IT system because theirs was so antiquated, we couldn't figure out how it worked. So the point of sale cash registers had to be changed out. I'm hoping that there were some that we had to modify. I'm hoping they were changed out since that time. Again, it's been 2.5, 3 years, but that's a requirement. It's technology changes.
But you would say that you're pretty familiar, you feel pretty comfortable in the IT world, like that's
Oh,
one
yeah.
of your areas of expertise.
Yeah, that's done for a living.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions? We have about 3 minutes left. Representative.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll throw this out there. I guess I'll do it for everybody. You mentioned that downhill mountain biking, which intrigues me too. You obviously have a lot of other ideas for the off season, like summer, fall, and spring.
Well, yeah, I did mention the Snowmobile Hill climb that Pat's Peak used to do.
Well, that's a week after the season ends, but how about
Correct.
we go maybe into May or April, end of April? So my point is, I guess you're open to a lot more activities taking place.
Oh, yeah, as long as it's consistent with the theme of
Making money would be good.
Making money is good. I kind of miss the mud fest they had. I forget the name of it.
I don't know.
Tough Mudder. That was fun.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. Just as a spectator, I would.
So just things, okay, but no, I appreciate that. And I admire the fact that you came back again. Not everybody does. To apply again.
Well, I really want to give back, and I'm retired and I have the time finally.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? We got another 1.5 minutes. Do you have anything else you'd like to say?
No, I want to give back. That's it. I have a lot to the place, a passion.
Since we have a 1.5 minutes, I'm really curious. So when we were talking before about the mountain biking in Highland and all that, and you said they'd looked at as a potential bonus to have both facilities doing that. That surprised me. Why is
I
that?
don't know, that surprised me too, but maybe it's just the visibility of making it a regional center is gonna,
Yeah.
you know, it's like the McDonald's is always next to the Burger King. Maybe the same concept, that did surprise me as well.
And can I ask another question?
You got 45 seconds.
45 seconds. What do you see as the barriers to doing so? Because I mean, Loon used to have a mountain biking center. I don't think they really do anymore. What are the
Yeah.
barriers?
Yeah, I don't know, that's something we have to look into, I think it's an interesting concept, I'm not strongly advocating for it, because I haven't done research on it. But little I've stumbled into, it's like, yeah, this sounds like a really good idea.
It's year round.
My father worked at Mount Snow, and it was a big operation for them, they had a good time.
We did it at Whistler. It was
Oh, okay,
really fun.
yeah.
Well, we got like 10 seconds left. So.
Yeah.
Next. Thank you very much, candidate.
Thank
You get
We're
candidate
on time
Wally,
now.
please.
We're back on time.
You can sit.
We were still on time for a second.
He wants money and something.
At least started to feel this too. Like, really almost bad, like, it's-
I know, right, but like when we were kids, that was like.
Sitting here?
Yeah, please. So, like we said, you got 15 minutes. You can talk for 15 minutes or get questions or your combination, your choice.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Hi, everyone. Thanks for speaking tonight. I'm John Wally. I'm a resident of Guilford, New Hampshire. That's a good fortune to grow up in the Lakes region for all of my life and a resident of Guilford now for, or I should say, Belknap County for 20 years. Also a 20-year seasons pass holder. I'm the father of a 10-year-old daughter who's a very active skier. We got her on snow when she was 17 months old because we didn't have a whole lot else to do. And I didn't want to sit on top all day. So we dragged up there after nap time and it was a great experience. I'm currently the general manager of Silver Sands Marine in Guilford and also the New Hampshire Marine Trades president. This works well for my passion for skiing because you can't really go in the winter, but people try. So I just really want to be involved in gun stock. I really find a sense of community. I've forged a lot of really great friendships there over the years, and I see the joy that it brings to other people that I see in my life, as well as my wife and my daughter. And it really took a chord with me when there's an opportunity to become part of the commission and see all the great things that Gunstock has accomplished with the current GMR management team since some of those troubling days a couple summers ago. The focus still moving forward in, I think, a calculated way. We don't want Gunstock, or in my opinion, I don't want Gunstock to turn into Disneyland. I have the good fortune that Steve in a lot of places all over the country and some parts of Europe, and see a lot of different places. And when you come to Gunstock, to me, it always feels at home. You see a lot of friendly faces, a lot of every year continuing friendly faces because the staff is well vested, well experienced, and I think that proves to give a good experience to the customer because this is a competitive business, and I think the biggest challenge that we run into as a county-owned mountain is finding that separation of having a professional group of people that run the mountain compete with Moon Mountain, Waterville Valley, and other places. And if you look at places that don't succeed, and if you follow the ski industry, like Black Mountain, this past fall, they had some pretty big challenges by not reinvesting into their mountain, and they basically closed. I don't know the exact details of how they were able to reopen, but they're going to be reopened. But it's not a destination. Penny Mountain is not a destination. They're places that get driven by. And we're the first place on 93 North. That's a real mountain, in my opinion, and we don't want to have people drive by us. I love the mountain. I think there's a lot of really great things going on there, and it's nice to see, again, the changes that are evolving at a calculated level that I think are only going to make improvements to our experiences, the customer service experiences that are there. But at the same point,
not drive things up to the point where they're over expenditures. And I think that's a balance that, as someone as a commissioner like myself, would work towards. So those are my thoughts.
Does anybody have any questions?
Sure.
None of the negative.
Why do you keep looking at me? I'm curious. Thanks for being here. What do you see, that you bring to the commission that may not be there, right now?
I think I bring a sense of passion. At least as I see it, I don't know the other potential commissioner or people running for commission, so I can't speak to that, but I'm a passionate skier. I want to snow 40 to 50 days a year. I'm in the adult league, or we just call it the beer league, of skiing on Thursday nights. I'm doing that for 15 years. I have a lot of experience in and around outdoor recreation and tourism. My job at Silver Sands Marina puts me on the lake, and I have a lot of connection with people that are skiers at Mountain Augusta. They come recreate up here in the summertime on boats, and spend a lot of time, and we talk about skiing. It's just when we're on the lake, we're looking right back up at the mountain. So it's a pretty easy point of conversation. I think my years, also my resume, at HK Power Sports over the years, and dealing with a fickle winter and challenging conditions working in the snowmobile business, it taught me that, you got to be smart, you got to plan ahead. Much like the Gunstock Mountain team does now, as you can see, they're reinvested in snowmaking. Important, and I think, I add a sense of what I hope to see on the mountain. I think I've seen that too, and I said this story to a couple of people over the years that, when Tom Day specifically, not to single him out, but he first started, he struck a chord with me because I saw him out picking up trash in the parking lot. And not that the mountain was ever unsightly before, but the improvements that they've made to improve it, I think it leads by his leadership. And you can see the camaraderie of his staff, that all are not afraid to get their hands dirty, do the things that aren't popular, or do the things that aren't fun. And that's how I kind of look at myself at the marina as a general manager. If people ever came by and saw me, they'd probably see me outside in the summer, in the fall, doing bottom washes and doing not fun things that a general manager doesn't want to do or doesn't need to do. But as I've learned, from my father too, you do the things that everyone has to do, and that's how you get the most out of people.
Representative Woods.
Being the president of the Marine Trades Association, general manager of the local marina and such, how are you going to have the time to be able to make this commitment?
I think it will be a challenge, but I think when you're busy, you find the time to make the time. And fortunately enough, the business side of the marina is not busy in the winter. Not that Gunstock is in the 12-month season, but the marine trades doesn't require a ton of my time. Today I was in Concord. I haven't changed out of the suit all day. That's part of why I dress this way, but not completely. And it's about 3 to 4 hours a month as the marine trades thing. Luckily, we have some pretty great lobbyists that we work with. And then they don't get enough credit. They do a lot of our heavy lifting. We're just in spaces there at other marinas. And we've got a good crew at the marina also too. And I struggle with that. So when I first thought to do this job, and then it was kind of asked by other friends if I thought this would be a good opportunity for my time to run, I spoke to my wife about it. And I spoke to other people that are in the industry. And I asked the requirements of the job, because I always want to be a father first, a good employee second, and if the opportunity to be on the commission here would be a commissioner third. And those are my priorities. But I feel like I have the time to do it. Way back when someone asked me to be on the New Hampshire Marine Trades member leadership team, I struggled with that too. I didn't think I had the time to do it, and I spoke to my boss and I said, look, I've been approached to do this, but I understand I work for you first. And he said, I think you'll have the time to do it. I think you manage your time well, and it's budgeting your time and making the most use of your day. And I think I can do that.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. So for Gunstock in the off season, what ideas do you have to maybe expand like the business opportunities in the off season for Gunstock?
I think there's a lot of avenues. I know from the time being, they've done a pretty good job expanding to weddings. I see an opportunity for small concerts, not maybe Soul Fest. That seems like it was a big undertaking that sounded from over the time listening to different thoughts on that was a kind of a drag on the management in the summertime, being they were a little bit understaffed for that as a group. You know, people talk about mountain biking and different things. I think the biggest thing is just marketing. I don't think that Gunstock necessarily is the apple of the eye like they are in the wintertime in the lakes. They're competing with Lake Gunstock and boating, and that in itself is a challenge. You know, I think Gunstock is a great place for people to go when they're not boating in the winter because they already have a home here. They already have a draw to here. But I think marketing the mountain to people that don't have the opportunity to get on the water, may not have the opportunity to get to the beach. How many people have never ridden on a chairlift? And if you have, had to do it with 30 pounds of food on your feet in a cold conditions. Now, this chairlift in itself that can take you to the top of the mountain and see all these views. It's an easy opportunity up. You don't have to have any really athletic ability to do it. Just get on the chairlift and ride to the top and see the view. You know, in my brain, I never think of Gunstock for summertime. That's how I think. I wonder how many other people do the same thing. So I think this is marketing, creating an approach. I think the summit, the restaurant at the top is going to create more opportunity for food and beverage up that way. I think people want to be there. I just don't think that they're always remembering that it's there to begin with. It's not a slight at the management, it's a challenge because there's so many things in this area that we're so fortunate to have in our backyard, whether it's Meadowbrook, the lake, and also Gunstock. You know, you just got to find a way to kind of capture their attention.
So like kind of supplementing the summer fun almost.
Yeah, exactly. You know, yeah. But I think there is a lot of avenues. I mean, you have all this expensive property when it comes to campgrounds. You know, it's just a matter of just letting the public know that it's still there, not just in the winter. Thank you.
Representative Terry.
Over the course of my career, I did a lot of interviews, and some of my favorite questions were what ifs and what would.
Sure.
So I'd like you to, this is a governance question, and I'd like you to respond as if you were an elected member of the Gunstock Commission.
Mm-hmm.
In the past, Gunstock budgets have contained a line item for donations. If there were a budget in the future, and of course you would have a decision as to what the line items are going to be going forward, if there was a line item for donations, would you expect to be a part of the process to determine who would be the recipients of the donations and that you would vote on that as a commission?
I think yes. I think it's our job as a commission to support the decisions of the management team, not necessarily tell them how to do their jobs. But when it comes to delegating funds, I think there is some responsibility of the commission to have that conversation. Not necessarily to be the one to say how it is responsible and where it goes and how it goes, but have a say, you know, and try to always find some common ground. Did that answer your question? Or?
Well, would you say that it would be something that you would vote on or not?
Yes.
Okay. And would you consider a donation to a public official or a candidate for public office to be an appropriate donation?
I think if it's an evenly dispersed thing. So, you know, with the New Hampshire Marine Trade Association, we look at various people who sometimes get donations for their political campaigns. And I personally don't like that, but I'm part of a group that feels as though the decision is something that they want to do. But we always make sure that whatever we do, we make sure that money is just based bipartisanly. So, yes.
Thanks.
Okay.
We have 1 minute left.
No softballs.
Representative Belknap.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. I'll make this quick. you talked about us being the first stop on 93. But I know a lot of people in the county that don't go to Gunstock for
Yeah.
various reasons. Why do you think that is personally?
I think people are looking for a more sometimes aggressive, if you're in the active scheme, maybe a more aggressive mountain, larger terrain, steeper lifts, more vertical feet. It may also be part of the financial side of things, and if that's the case, skiing isn't cheap anywhere. I would say, and I've thought a lot about this, and it's not to ever get in question the management team, because they're obviously a profitable company at the present moment. To me, the one thing that always got my attention as a skier at Gunstock was the opportunity to ski at Bretton Woods. And Bretton Woods, from my understanding, that's I've read it, was a Belknap County residents and
Gotta wrap it up, please. Gotta wrap it
Okay,
up.
yeah, they get a great deal to ski Sunday afternoons. It's like $39, and that was last year, I think. If there was an opportunity to do that and pass it on to Belknap County specific only residents, not second homeowners, primary New Hampshire licensed residents, and to be able to ski 12 o'clock to 4 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon with their family and their kids at a reduced rate, not have to buy a season's pass, not to buy a lift ticket. I think it only adds to the bottom line of Gunstock. It's people coming in that the lift's already turning, buy a hot dog, buy a hamburger, buy a Coke, have a great experience with their kids. If they can't, and say afford
Okay,
it,
we're gonna.
all that.
We're gonna go through.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And, we need, candidate. Yeah. Say that, right? Is that right there? Yeah. So the 15 minutes are for you to use either in a speech or taking questions or your combination of whichever.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Angelo Ferreira. As you guys know from my letter, the vacancy on the Gunstock area commission. Yep. I did put in for the vacancy on the Gunstock area commission. The letter that I put in gives some details as to why the mountain means a lot to me personally. It stretches much more than just a recreational facility for skiing for me. I grew up in the area. I skied there as a kid. When it was time to settle down with my family, I moved to Stone's Throw from there to take advantage of the amenities that we get to enjoy as a privilege for living here. From fishing in the pond with my kids to going to the fishing derbies, hiking the trails. Even before that, actually married my wife at the mountain. So the mountain means a lot to me personally, and many of the things that we have the privilege of enjoying because it's part of our county, many people don't realize. Right down to my sister-in-law has a mountaintop church at the summit every Sunday. My kids take part in a program for homeschool children for skiing and ski lessons. While I don't ski personally anymore, I still frequent the mountain on a regular basis, from using the mountain coaster to the hiking trails. Even recently, I got to enjoy the Bronco off-rodeo at the mountain, which was an amazing experience. And people were there from all over to enjoy what's in our backyard that we have every single day. Met many people from around the country that are amazed by the beauty, amazed by the facility, and it's something that we have right there. As far as professionally speaking, I'm a business owner. I own Fire and Stone, which is located in Tilton. I've owned it for 14 years. Started it myself having my home in Guilford originally. Me and my wife have grown that business, dealt with the challenges of being a seasonal business and the budgetary constraints and things that may arise, and grown that into a full-time year-round business that's profitable in many ways. The other thing that it's done for me is building that business has allowed me to build a team and have some really great pieces in place that allow me not to have to be there all the time. That's why things like this are a great opportunity for me to give back to someone that's given to me for so much of my life. if anything was to pop up, I can easily be through the mountain within 30 minutes, whether I'm at home or in my shop until that freedom that I'm afforded allows me to do that. And there's no better way for me to get back from that. The other thing is, in the town of Guilford, I also sit on the budget committee where I've been a member for 3 years, dealing with town budgets for each department, you know, going through, looking at line items, expenditures and so forth, dealing with emergency expenditures when they arise. That too is a time investment, one that I do because I'm at a point where I do have the privilege of having that time to give back, and I'd like to give back to the communities that we're in. Looking at gun stock currently, what I see is amazing. You know, a great management team in place, great employees, great things happening, great commissioners going down the right path and working very cohesively with the management team. And I would love to be a part of it. I would love to help gun stock continue on that path in any way that I can, and be part of its movement in the right direction that we're seeing currently and the great things that are happening. That's it for me. I know you guys have questions, so I just wanted to give a brief summary because your guys' questions are the most important thing. You guys have a lot on the table.
Okay, we have 10.5 minutes for questions. Does anybody have any questions? Representative Comtois.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for being here and taking my questions.
Thank you.
You mentioned that gun stock is moving in the right direction. What does that mean?
We're seeing some great things as, you know, Commissioner Lambert talked about as far as financially speaking, over the past years of it becoming so self-sufficient, that we're also seeing growth in the right ways to support, you know, community and the business that they're getting while not getting out of control with it. The improvements that they're making, I've seen them firsthand. I was up there and I saw the parking lot. I think that's a great expenditure. And the different moves that have been made over the years as far as, you know, the mountain coaster, seeing the addition of the Bronco off-road where they came in and they're using the facilities and paying us to use it and actually, you know, bringing in money for something that really doesn't cost us anything while bringing people from all over the country that I can tell you when I was sitting at a table with them to eat a meal, they were all already planning a trip to come back to go to gun stock. It's things like that that are really positives that are going to bring in the people that we're seeing, that are really some really great decisions that have been made. And that's why, like I said, it's amazing what we all get to see unfold. And I'd love to be a part of that.
Representative.
Thank you. Do you have any ideas that would improve gun stock?
Improvement wise, I mean, honestly, a lot of the stuff that I've seen going on as far as the rentals facility that they built currently, that was always a big thing that I thought could be done better, and they did that. The pavement's great. It's tough to pinpoint something because it's all moving in the right direction. I mean, right down to even expanding at the summit, you know, the restaurant, putting in actual plumbing up there. Like I said, with Capital moving in the right direction, it's been amazing. I don't hear many complaints from the community as far as the skiing. I'm actually seeing more and more people that I talk to that are avid skiers that used to take the time to go up to Waterville as opposed to skiing right in their backyard are now finding their way back to Gunstock, just because how much the facilities have improved. And we're obviously seeing that on the other side, that the money is well spent because it's coming back in.
Thank you.
Yes.
Representative Nagel.
It's taken 4 interviews to remember what was really important to me when we did this last time, but I love everything you said about the area, but who's not at Gunstock and how do we get them here?
So there's a fine line to walk. So what we're working with is a facility, and what you don't want to do is overcrowd a facility with people from out of state to the point that people can't enjoy it that come here or live here. From what I see from ticket sales, we're seeing the right amount of traffic coming through. We're seeing a profitable state that basically allows us to still enjoy it as, you know, townspeople still enjoy amenities, not be overburdened or, you know, sitting in long lines. I can't say that I see like a hole in that when you ask it that way, because Gunstock overall, you know, isn't just skiing. I know people that come up to use the RV park and so forth. So I don't really see a hole in attracting more people. I think the pace that they're going at is supported by the infrastructure that they have, and trying to just push to get more in could actually have a negative impact.
Thank you.
They kind of just stayed where they were, and they've run into struggles over time. So, I mean, the concern I have is like, you know, if you're not growing or getting better over time, eventually, you know, things are going to pass you by. Like, is that the thought you, like, what ideas do you have to prevent that from happening? I mean,
I don't really think that Gunstock is by any means stagnant. What we've seen for growth over the past years has been incredible. They're definitely not sitting at status quo with the additions of the many different things that I just went over, the increase in facilities, even when we just watched today for the report, they're investing back in. They're not just letting that mountain, you know, coast along. They're investing in the facilities, they're investing in the maintenance, they're doing all the right things to offer the best product to the public. And, you know, that's the thing, is that's the product they want to see. You know, we could have, like I said, we could have more people in and grow it. Maybe eventually, yes, there could be some growth of slopes or something, but as of right now, you know, I think they're doing an amazing job.
Yes.
So this is a what if, what would you do? The same question I've asked the other candidate, and it's a governance question. If you were elected as a member to the commission, you would be responsible for formulating a budget each year. Some of the items are pretty easy, like, you know, utilities, they just get paid automatically, whatever they are. Personnel, they get paid. In the past, there's been a line item for donations. There might possibly be in the future. Would you expect, if there were to be such a line item, that as a commissioner, that you would have input in terms of determining who the recipients would be of the donations, and that it would be a matter of public vote?
I believe when it comes to a line item, and I could be wrong here, you know, obviously they review the budget through the lines, they can make basically determinations on the line item itself, and the amount of the actual expenditure within would have to go to a vote. They can make a recommendation. I could be wrong here. But I don't believe they can actually direct if it's labeled as a donation. It would have to go to the vote.
Okay, and if there were to be donations considered by the commissioners, would you believe it appropriate to make donations to elected public officials or to candidates for public office, or any groups that support or promote elected public officials or candidates, or not?
So you're saying directly to their campaigns or to something that they're associated with?
Yeah, yes or no?
So is it directly?
Would you believe that it would be appropriate to make a donation to a candidate or to a public official or to any group that supports and promotes? No?
No.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We have 2.5 minutes left. I think Representative St. Clair.
There you go.
Representative Coker didn't ask my question this time, so I'll jump on this. You mentioned about worried about being overcrowded, potentially in the winter. What about in the off season, summertime? You mentioned that you go up there a lot, so do you see growth in the off season?
I do, and you know,
and any ideas, I guess?
What I see up there is a tremendous facility currently. It has a lot to offer. In the off season, I think we could market more to get more people in at that time of year, to create more business normally. That may come into play with something like your question earlier, as far as growth. That is an area that we have to become growth. The actual structure is there for it. It's just a matter of getting the people here to enjoy it.
Okay, good. Good.
Go ahead.
Thanks. But do you have any particular ideas for particular events or things that in your mind that maybe it's not being done now or could be improved on? And just,
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. I know that the RV area, sees some camper area, sees some pretty decent traffic, both local and from around the area. I think that the additions that they made as far as the dining facility and stuff is gonna help get some more people in. But possibly, marketing out of the area, if you're saying, how do we get people from other areas, marketing out of the area to say, hey, we have this great place with this great zip line park and this great mountain coasters. I think it will be an attraction for people to take that drive if they know about it. So the marketing to those people that maybe aren't here that don't know about it, will pull them from other areas as well.
thank you.
Well, we got like a half a
30
minute
seconds.
left, so. Do you have anything else you'd like to say in the next?
Just thank everybody for your time and consideration. And, thank you.
Thanks very much. Well, I'm gonna call for a 5-minute recess before we deliberate, or if people need a drink or whatever.
Back to 7.
No, it's 8:01.
And 8:08, sorry, not 7. Pull the representative there.
Come back at 8:08.
You're lucky.
It'd be, that's in place, that's. It's all right, the patient died and nobody's voted on it. Yeah, it's all right.
Next on the agenda, the deliberations. Does anybody have anything they would like to say concerning the candidates?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First off, I thought we had a great slate of candidates and they all brought something different to the table. So we'd be lucky to have any one of them, I think, as a commissioner. However, there was one that really stood out to me, and for a different reason than what you would think. And it was the person that really wasn't into skiing, but I really thought that his volunteerism and his community spirit and outreach showed through. And I think that's important to bring to the board, someone that can bridge that in our area and help promote the other seasons, I think is extremely important. And it kind of fits in what he's doing now for work, where he's already in outreach mode to bring more people in the community together. And he has, you know, he has a fundraising background. He had focused on tourism. He worked for the chamber up in Waterville Valley, which was really, I thought, impressive. So he understands the importance of promoting our promoting gun stock, right? The jewel of our county, right? Besides the lake. And I think that really stood out to me, because right now we have 4 avid skiers on the board. We have an Olympian, we have people that have taught ski school. I mean, we have that expertise. And I think this just brings a different flavor to the board, something different, but something different isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think it can be a positive and give a different point of view. That's my 2 cents.
Who's the person?
I was gonna say. Name right now. Great speech.
Mr. Colley.
Thank you. I assume that's who it was from the description, but.
That was interesting. It was fun. I knew exactly.
Representative Colton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. John Wally impressed me tonight. I liked his pragmatic approach. I think he gets how it's kind of a weird hybrid system. It's a public thing, a private thing, and I think his experience with the other state commissions would probably weigh in good with that. I like how he talked about like keeping the business competitive. You can tell, being an owner of Marina or the general manager of Marina, I think he understands what you have to do to stay competitive in this kind of recreation type business. And I also like how gun stock is its importance in the off season to kind of like fill in some of those slower times in the economy. I think he had a good, I guess I'm trying to think of the word, a good grasp on it. It's kind of a supplemental type deal. So I think his resume speaks for itself. And as far as the community is concerned, I've kind of asked around a little bit because we're lucky to be in a small community and everybody had awesome things to say about him. So I think John Wally would be an asset, and all 4 of them would be great on it. I have no issues with any.
So I think any 4 of them would be a great pick for the delegate, for the commission. There's 2 that stood out to me. I'm still on the fence. There's 2 that really stood out to me. One was very passionate about gun stock, and the other, I just think his experience is outstanding, especially in the seasonal recreation area. So I'm on the fence, but I have 2 candidates in mind.
What was the last thing you said?
Angelo, please.
Please open them up.
I'm deciding between Angelo Ferrugia and John Wally.
Well, Representative,
So I am stuck between two candidates still, but I do have a first, and my first is gonna be Joseph Gawley. I think that, like Barbara said, that his approach is different than what we have right now. We have business, we have ski. I want a resident on the board. I think Angela also would be a great asset as a resident on that board and would bring a different perspective to the board.
Representative Dumas.
I've listened to everybody and I think that, I'm in favor of Bill Zach. I think that, his background is
Rick.
very good and broader than some of the other folks. So, the three people that spoke have three different people, so we got a hell of a predicament. Maybe we should call in for a vote. Cocktails.
Representative Bogert, please.
I also agree, if we have elected any of the four, you know, we would benefit greatly from the knowledge they all would bring to the board. One, it stuck out actually a lot to me, was Zach. I mean, I understand at least three times been to the board. So he's persistent, looking to join the team and help with it. And he also brings a technical background, which is also necessary in expanding and in growing our environment around that. As we all know, our technology is growing. Having an IT type background would help. I also agree that it's not necessary to be a skier to be on the board. So I'm not a skier, so I do tube a lot because it's a lot easier and a lot more fun to tube. But the ability to look at plans and to comprehend the needs from a technical standpoint, in which case the commission itself is a technical type situation, providing direction to management and bouncing back and forth with those information and being able to help and look at problem solving type situations. And let me repeat the other part was he's persistent. So to me, someone who's persistent is something you're looking for, because that means they're not willing to give up on a problem. If a problem arises or something comes up, they're not going to give up. They're gonna keep hammering at it. I didn't get this one. I'm going to come back, and I'm going to come back, and I'm going to come back, and keep coming back with a positive attitude on top of it. So, thank you.
Representative.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to say thanks to everybody for applying, and they are all great. A lot of good candidates, but I just wanted to plug Angela Perugia. He has been persistent in applying for this position. And what I had the opportunity to have a conversation with Angelo, and what impressed me is his appreciation for some of the nuances of what he would be doing at Gunstock. For instance, he had already looked into the deed for the land at Gunstock and looked into some of the documents behind the land holdings of Gunstock, and really got into the nuances of the situation, which is really what I think we need is somebody who can analyze, not jump to some conclusion about where we need to go, like we just throw in a bike park or throwing some zip line. We need to do this. I want somebody who's going to really analyze and research what kind of attractions we want at Gunstock, because these are not decisions we're here to take lightly or just to grasp at. So So somebody who can really delve into the details. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Thank you, Chair. Once again, I'm gonna repeat a lot of things that's been said. 4 good candidates. Thank you for applying. I had the opportunity to speak to 3 of you over the phone. And as I told you over the phone, it was a hard chance. And as I shared my views and you shared yours, my background in industry, I was leaning towards Angelo. And when he sent his other aptitude portfolio summary, I worked with these. Along with interviews and listening to them, you know, over the phone, hearing them here. I'm just going back to my industry. When they do honestly, I never had a problem. I don't think my departments had problems when they incorporate that. Angelo was a centrist, and we've seen that. And I think that's what I need, and he has no agenda. He wants to work. He thinks things are going good. When things are going good, it's easier just to keep them to going where you go, well, I need this improvement, this improvement. I don't see that in Angelo. So he's gonna be my first choice. But once again, as I said, I didn't speak to all of them. Mr. Colley, we did not touch base. But hearing him here, I would, if Angelo doesn't make the first round, for whatever reason, I think he should. Now that I see that, I'm glad I'm speaking last. Joe would be my second, Mr. Colley. So thank you.
Anybody else?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Representative Sinclair.
I'm sorry you're not speaking last. I wish I had asked this question for all the candidates, if they weren't appointed, if they would come back and apply again, whenever that may be. Because I think we would maybe learn something from that. This really sucks, if I may be so bold, because they're all good. They are all good. This is not a secret ballot, is it? I wish it was. I wish it was. No, I wish it was. And I wish that, to make it easier, I wish the present commissioners would all come in with little tags on who they were supporting, because that would help too.
You do your job, we'll do ours, okay?
Yeah. Some degree. I know Joe and from some experience together with Juanis and listening to on the radio, and I think Joe would be good. My phone conversation with Mr. Wally I was really impressed after the phone call, and I'm equally as impressed with him today. I'm not sure about the workload in the summer, because I know how that can be. Not that you have to be up there at the desk of the commissioners. At least I'm not aware that they're there 5 days a week. So I'm not sure if that would be a problem or not, with having that load. I don't know Angelo very well. This is the first time I've been able to listen to him, and I think he had some good ideas too. I think Mr. Zach probably would be my first choice. I kind of go along with what Steve said. There was a lot of positive stuff there. But nonetheless, I'll just see how this goes. This is going to be tough. This is going to be a real tough one. And I thank them all for coming, and whoever doesn't get it, I hope the other 3 come back and apply again. What's the pay for that job? Can I bring that up because I look at these 2 very high-paying people right here who I think should be making this decision, but that's another story. So thank you anyway, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Representative Nagel.
Can I just ask a pragmatic question of the current commissioners that's germane to what you just said? How many hours, I guess I'm asking it without your permission.
I guess it depends on if it's August of 2022. or-
Currently.
We meet once a month, and I know that each of us as individuals do go up to the mountain. And we kind of, see Tom and look at the things that are going on over there, so it varies, but it's as much as you're willing and desirous to put into it.
And you'll never see an invoice. See there, though.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? Representative Terry.
Yeah, I'm sitting here and I'm agreeing with all of my colleagues with respect to the commendations to and qualifications of each of the four. And, you know, I've always been somebody who seeks for analogies. And the one that comes to me is NFL draft day. And, you know, what you'd like to do, you only get one pick when it's your turn, but what you'd like to do is pick all the best players that are available. And so that's kind of how like I feel right now. And it's a difficult decision. I did like, as I've been listening to everybody here, I did like the observation that Representative Compa made with respect to Mr. Colley and his background in diversity, and I'm thinking diversity without the EI at the end. Just diversity, not equity and inclusion, but diversity. And I think that the skills he's bringing, if I'm an NFL general manager, I think when I think about the people who are already serving on this commission, that by a hair, I think Mr. Colley strengthens the commission just a wee bit more in terms of breadth and depth than any of the others. But you know, I wish I could pick them all.
We're gonna be here a long time.
Question?
No.
You ready?
So let's just vote on it.
Yeah.
Get the vote.
So I,
Oh.
you know, I agree with everybody here that all four of them are excellent candidates, and I'm not gonna get into the whole thing about everybody. I am gonna be, voting for, Mr. Perugia the first round, and, so we're gonna do this, it's gonna be a roll call vote. You're gonna name the candidate that you choose. And the lowest, like I said before, the lowest vote getter gets dropped off, unless we get to 9. Somebody right off the bat. So, Mr. Clerk.
All right. Representative Trotter.
Angela.
Representative Terry.
Mr. Colley.
Representative St. Clair.
Mr. Zach.
Representative Smart.
Mr. Colley.
Representative Flaugier.
Angelo.
Clerk votes for Colley. Representative Nagel.
Mr. Zach.
Representative McCarter.
Mr. Colley.
Representative Hewitt.
Mr. Zach.
Representative Harvey Bolia.
Angela.
Representative Dumas.
Zach.
Where it was. Representative Comtois.
Colley.
Representative Coker.
Wally.
Representative Boards.
Wally.
Representative Bogert.
Zach.
Representative Bowden. And Mr. Chairman.
Perugia.
Wow.
All right.
Three-way tie.
Yeah. So represent 5 votes for Colley, 2 votes for Wally, 5 votes for Angela. How do you say your last name, please? Perugia. Perugia. 5 votes for Angela Perugia, and 5 votes for Zach. Can't remember his name. Sorry.
How many for Wally? 2. 5, 2.
Yeah. So three names on next ballot: Colley, Perugia, and Zach.
So do we want to have,
Hold on,
I think the discussion is probably.
wait right now.
Yeah, good shots.
No point stuff, but it's way out in the front.
Wait a minute. We got.
Oh, look at that.
Oh.
Wow, that was fast. That was fast.
We need any further discussion?
No,
We're
we
just
just
gonna-
keep going.
we're just gonna vote. Okay, we're gonna vote again. With the three that are still in, Colley, Zach, and Floyd. So,
I know, I'm gonna get those.
And
Alright.
not end of that.
so somebody has to get.
Representative Trotter, Representative Terry,
Polly.
Representative St. Clair,
Zach,
Representative Smart, Representative Flaugier, clerk votes for Colley, Representative Nagel,
Mr. Zach.
Representative McCarter,
Colley.
Representative Hewitt,
Mr. Zach.
Representative Harvey Bolia,
Perugia.
Representative Dumas,
Zach.
Representative Conco,
Colley.
Representative Coker,
Zach.
Representative Boards,
Ferruggio.
Representative Bogert,
Zach.
Representative Bowden,
And vote.
and Mr. Chairman.
Maria.
Alright, so. 6, 12, okay. 5 votes for Colley, 6 votes for Perugia, 6 votes for Zach. It'll be Perugia and Zach on the final ballot. Representative Trotter.
Same, Angela.
Don't start.
Is that a new candidate?
Representative Terry. Representative St. Clair.
Zach,
Representative Smart.
Perugia.
Representative Flaugier.
Perugia.
Clerk votes for Perugia. Representative Nagel.
Zach.
Representative McCarter.
Angela.
Representative Hewitt.
Zach.
Representative Harvey Bolia.
Perugia.
Representative Dumas.
Zach.
Representative Comtois.
Perugia.
Representative Coker.
Zach.
Representative Boards.
Ferruggio.
That's it.
Representative Bogert.
Zach.
Representative Bowden.
And vote.
And Mr. Chairman.
Maria.
11 votes for Perugia, 6 votes for Zach. We have a new commissioner.
Congratulations. Okay, we haven't. People. We have some quiet, please. We haven't completed our meeting here tonight. We need to consider additional projects for ARPA.
Okay, good luck. Take care.
Jack would take that. Or maybe. Yeah.
Oh, Mr. Chairman, this will be brief. We have a very small housekeeping matter here. We are requesting permission to add 2 items to the ARP funding. The first is roof repairs for the nursing home and corrections, which presently have leaks. We'd like to get that done before the snow flies. And also a new V plow for the older truck that plows the nursing home. I want to remind the board that this money has already been appropriated by the delegation. We just want formal permission to direct it to these 2 projects.
So you have, let me make sure I've got this straight. You've got 2 leaking roofs. That kind of gotta get done before it. gets
Yeah,
real
and an
bad.
undersized plow.
And an undersized plow. So I think we probably ought to, talk about these one at a time. I don't know. Let's start with the leaking roofs. Does anybody have anything? What's their comment?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have a question.
I thought that all the ARPA funds were expended, so I'm just curious as to where this ARPA money is coming from.
They were not all expended, although we had a plan for most of it. We never did have every penny of it. And as we explained before, there are projects coming in under budget and projects over budget, and that's why the last request was to appropriate the balance to be spent on particular projects. So the ones I can point to specifically are the wage increases, which we, the total appropriated over the past 3 years was 2.5 something. I don't have the number in front of me. We believe it's gonna come in closer to 2,450,000, which is now listed on this list. The window project and the facade and trim that's almost done. It came in about $100,000 under budget. And the biggest one is the solar project that the commissioners decided to appropriate 750,000 for instead of $1 million. So that they would be able to complete some of these capital projects without having to add them to the budget. And that's, so you can see on this list, right now, even after the 2 roof repairs and the V-plow, there would still be $304,000 that is available. The big project we have going on that we don't have a final price on is the courthouse basement. So we're kind of waiting to see how that comes in. So we don't want to spend this down to the penny at this point. But these 2 projects, the roofs that are currently leaking, makes a lot of sense. I think they're the contractors ready to start tomorrow if you this vote goes well tonight. And the V-plow, they would just soon buy it now as opposed to waiting to the end of the plowing season.
So I think that we're gonna have to approach this one at a time, but Representative Compton.
Just quickly looking, you're saying right now for the windows, it came $100,000 under budget, roughly. And for wages, it's 50,000. So that's $150,000 right off the bat, right?
Okay.
That's in savings that we have already, without taking any monies from the solar project. And that gets us almost all the way to the leak repairs. You know, we need about $79,000 more for the leak repair. I mean, obviously the V-plow is pretty simple. I just have concerns where we're still trying to figure out the solar array project. They're already knocking $250,000, $250,000 off of that, which means we would then have to finance interest rates. So that concerns us.
Wait, can you say the last part about the interest rates?
Okay, maybe, but why are we knocking $250,000 off the solar panel?
Because there are so many capital projects that need to be done. The commissioners thought it made sense rather than putting that on the tax burden by budgeting for it. If we wouldn't need to, that there was no need to spend $1 million on the solar project. They can spend $750,000 and still reap significant electrical cost savings over the next 25 years.
How much money do we have to outlay for the solar project?
Zero. You need to do zero.
We don't have to outlay anything.
The commissioners have decided to do 750.
Right now, we're at 750, but we decided it'd be best that we have some flexibility to address contingencies like the roof, like the plow truck, and there'll be more that comes along. You know, it's still an older facility here, and there are always maintenance, replacement, repair issues that come up periodically every few months. And this is really a sterling example of that.
Representative Patter.
Thank you, Mr. Sheriff. So am I understanding this correctly that we already voted for $1 million for the solar array? But this is some kind of a renegotiable contract.
There's no renegotiating.
There was no vote for $1 million.
It's really, the bag of money's been approved by the delegation.
Right.
This is a formal request to direct some of that funds to an immediate need we have with the 2 leaky roofs and the plow.
I get that. So now you have $750,000 to do whatever the project entails. Do you have contractors that are able to bid that project as it was intended?
We have a company that's
with
bid for
this
the project.
one? for this kind of,
Yes. Are you talking about the roof?
no, for the $750,000.
Yeah, we have cure charge. We're awaiting the contract and then Representative Terry, Representative Comtois will ostensibly approve the contract and then we're on our way. That's $750,000, not $1 million.
I think there's a Representative Bogert was, oh, you want to help?
I want to help.
Question.
So with respect to, I can understand how people can be befuddled up here about the difference between 750,000 and $1 million. I think what we're hearing is that we are effectively be getting a smaller solar array. We're not gonna get, now look at it, we're not getting $1 million solar array, we're gonna get a $750,000.
No, there'll be an adjustment on the electrical savings over the 25-year period.
That's where it comes from.
Yes.
Yes. And who's the net beneficiary of that?
Who was the
The
net-
adjustment. You
Well-
just, you just
Well,
said.
the
there would
county
be
is
an
the
adjustment.
beneficiary because we can repurpose funds.
So we better off at 750 or $1 million?
I think we're probably better off at 750 because we're keeping more of the money in our own pocket. And we're not having to take it out of the budget or heaven forbid, they got a bond at a higher interest rate to make these improvements and repairs.
Representative Hewitt.
May I ask what the nature of the vote was? Whether we appropriated this money? Or I had the impression that ARPA funds were treated a little differently.
Oh, we voted. Check.
The vote was to, in the last vote was to appropriate the balance remaining of the ARPA funds to be used on the projects that were listed at that time, which were all the projects you see on this page now, except the roof repairs and the weed plow. And that if the commissioners, because there was discussion that these costs were not all solid at that time, as they're not all still. So the commissioners agreed to come back to you if they wanted to add any projects to the list. And that's what they're doing tonight. Asking to fix the roof repairs and buy weed plows.
Okay.
Representative Smart.
Roof repairs, you have down to, I got corrections, the corrections facility, what was the other one?
The nursing home.
The nursing home.
Mhm.
So on the nursing home though, we have leaky skylights. That it, doesn't that go along with roofing? I mean, if we fix the roof, would the skylights be fixed? Is that like $500,000 we could save? Or put towards the roof and include that the skylights with it? Or I realize 500,000 is probably just a cup of coffee.
The skylights were leaking. They're no longer leaking. They were fixed a year and a half ago.
They were replaced.
Yes.
So they've been a different section of the roof that it needs to be replaced. There's a flat section of the roof that is leaking and apparently having issues.
So is this list of stuff then all old stuff that's already been repaired and we're just voting on these two things here?
Yes,
Yeah.
I've added these two items.
They're not all done. I put a status column on the end. Some of them are underway, but a lot of them are complete. And a few of them, well, actually, they've all been started to some degree.
So you're gonna replace part of a roof, but not the whole roof?
That's
Correct.
correct. The whole roof, the rest of the roof was replaced probably 5 years ago.
So.
So this is.
Representative Terry.
So the two figures here, are they representative of estimates, an estimate or multiple estimates that you see? I mean, how did you come up with 229,000 and 7,500?
We put it out to bid.
It went out to bid.
Yeah,
Okay, and how many have you received for each?
I think there were 3 bids received on the roofing. And
So is that the low bid of the three?
yes, and this
Okay,
bid,
and what about the V plow?
the D plow was also put out to bid and it was the low bid.
And how many did you receive?
I don't remember. That was,
It was
I
last year.
remember how
The
many.
first one was
That
last year.
That was
Yeah.
last year. So it didn't make the list, but now it's on the list.
Yeah, it came to our attention that the plow that's presently on the older truck for the nursing home does not even equal the width of the truck, so it's taking an extra long time to clear.
So what was of lower priority, a matter of higher priority? Because
Well, Representative, the way that the commissioners see it is if we hold off on the plow until April, we'll get bond this winter. If
No,
we
no, I'm
get
not suggesting that we ought to delay, but this wasn't on the original list.
the plow was not,
Okay,
and
the reason for that was, because you didn't know what you know now?
it wasn't brought to our attention that we
Okay,
had
so
a
it's just
deficiency
brought to
with
your
that truck.
attention. So now it's been brought to your attention and it's a glaring need. Yes.
Oh, yeah, well, it's a need. I
Well,
think
you don't want to live with what you have now. You want to-
No, we'd like the plow, and obviously we have to repair that.
Pretty glaring.
And we're fortunate to have the funds available.
Representative Comtois.
I'd like to call the question.
Yes.
This is just on the leaking roof, or is it on all of it?
Both of them.
Both of those, not the basement.
Second. Third.
All right, so it's on.
The motion, we should call the
Calling
question.
the question.
All right, if the question, so that yes, what happens?
Then we have to
Then we
vote
vote on the motion.
on the motion itself.
We haven't had a motion. We've never had a motion, so therefore I'll make a motion that we accept the changes to the budget based on the information provided by the county administrator.
Hold on a second.
Well, I'll second that, and apparently we don't need to call the question because we're all ready to vote, correct?
Correct.
Okay, let's vote.
Okay, we need to do a roll call on it. Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand.
Yeah,
Looks like everybody.
Still upset about the solar panels, but I'll figure it out.
Okay, all of those opposed?
Unanimous.
So it's unanimous.
Was that down real quick, or what was that?
It's down, no,
Okay,
I don't
I saw
vote,
this.
because I voted for it, so how can I vote for it again?
So you're trying to cheat.
I think that because we have actually had one member leave, we really, this should be a recorded vote. You could just go in and X everybody except for the person who left.
Yeah.
I think that would be proper. Yeah, thank you. I mean, you could have unanimous and have 16, 6 people of that. Nobody's gonna know. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next thing is to schedule the next meeting for the budget. It's gonna be between December 11th and December 15th.
No, this is for the commissioners to bring it to us first.
So, it'll be one of those days and it's, 6:30, it seems to work pretty good. Does anybody have a preference as to which day between?
Well,
What?
did you say the 11th through the 15th?
11th through the 15th.
Okay, so I did say 12.
No.
Okay. How about 13th?
Okay, we've got a motion to the 13th.
13th.
Do we have a second?
Second.
14th, December.
I'll second the 14th.
I think we're getting there.
All right, we got a motion and a second for the 14th.
We got a motion and a second for the 14th.
My second and third.
Yeah.
Might be absent, I can't do anything like that.
Well, we can't do anything that week. They kind of narrows it down.
What are we gonna do then?
Are these, so we're gonna vote on the Thursday.
14th.
Okay, all in favor of Thursday, the 14th,
6:30?
6:30.
Yeah, it looks good.
And you're gonna notice it. Yeah, somebody's gonna. notice
She's gonna notice it.
There you go.
Somebody.
It's not point fingers.
We'll get there. We'll get there. So we've got that, the meeting scheduled. Do we need a motion for adjournment?
Yes.
Motion adjourned.
Second.
Aye.
No.
Thank you.
Okay, no, I'm coming.